What is up, guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be giving you guys my Flash rewrite. Now, basically how this is going to work is I'm just going to go season by season and just change things that I think need to be changed, just, in my personal opinion. This is part 1 of this series. I think this part's going to be, I'm going to be adjusting seasons 1 through 3 to how I think it should have gone. And then, part 2 will be either seasons 4 through 7 or maybe just seasons 4 through 5. And then potential part 3 could be seasons 5 and 6. But anyways, let's start with season 1. Now, guys, season 1 was nearly perfect. Season 1 was a very, very good season. However, I could still find a couple of things that I would have changed. The first one is Iris. She's a little bit annoying in this season. Not exactly a huge fan of her. I do like, her reporter storyline and all that starting up in this season. However, she's just really annoying in the season. And then the second thing that I found is, I guess, as the villains in this season, they were definitely a lot better than recently, like season 6 and season 7. However, there were still a couple of villains that I really just wasn't a fan of. The first one, obviously, the Bee villain in episode 18 of season 1. She just really wasn't that good of a villain at all. I really did not like her storyline or her character or anything like that. And yeah, the last thing that I really did not exactly like about this season was episode 22, titled Rogue Air. I really was not a huge fan of this episode. In this episode, basically, Dr. Wells, aka the Reverse Flash, of course, he's going to turn on the particle accelerator once again. And before that, Team Flash needs to get all of the metahumans in the pipeline out of there and to Argus. Now, basically the entire episode is focused around that, which every time I watch that episode, I just skipped that part. I really was not interested in that whatsoever. But then, of course, the end of the episode was just absolutely amazing. You had Firestorm, Green Arrow, and the Flash taking on the Reverse Flash. That was just a great fight scene. So the episode, for the majority, I really wasn't a fan of it. But then, of course, the last third of it or so was amazing. But yeah, guys, that was, really all the problems that I had with Season 1. Now, how exactly could those issues change? Now, the Bee villain in Episode 18, what I think would have been really cool to see is like a 2-part Trickster episode. So if you guys remember in Episode 17, that one was titled Tricksters. You had Mark Hamill returning to play the Trickster, which was awesome. I think it would have been really cool if they had like a sort of, a 2-episode story arc with the Trickster, Season 1, Episode 17, going into Episode 18. I think if those were both Trickster related episodes, that would have been awesome, because the Trickster was such a good villain, and I really wish they brought him back more often. So I think a 2-part Trickster storyline here would have been pretty cool to see. And then in episode 22, where they're, trying to transfer the metahumans out of Star Labs and into a safe location, I feel like they should just, they should have, cut all that out. And I think something more interesting for that segment would have been like somewhat of a Reverse Flash origin, like seeing how he exactly became who he is, all that stuff. I think, starting something like that would have been pretty cool to see in that episode. But yeah, other than that, this season, in my opinion, Season 1 of The Flash was pretty much perfect. Reverse Flash, of course, is an amazing villain. Barry time traveling is so cool to see. Barry getting struck by lightning, all that stuff is that's always a cool scene to watch. So yeah, overall, this season was amazing. And, there's just a few tweaks here and there that I would have made. So now on to Season 2, and this is the first season, where I think you could actually make a lot more changes than Season 1. So first of all, Season 2, Episode 1, up to that point at least, that was the worst episode of the show. I really did not like that episode very much. Barry just kills without remorse in Episode 1 and 2 of Season 2. Really wasn't a fan of that. Of course, the Jay Garrick stuff in those 2 episodes was great. I really liked that. But Barry's also very annoying in this episode, just saying how he doesn't want anyone around, all that stuff. I just really wasn't a fan of that. But Barry, also getting his dad free from prison, that was a great scene. I really like all that stuff. So yeah, I guess this episode, it's all right. Still, obviously, it's better than a lot of the episodes in Season 7, but still, this episode, not as good as I think it could have been. Now, the first 3 episodes of Season 2, I just went over Episode 1 of Season 2. I wasn't exactly a fan of that, as you guys just heard. But the first 3 episodes in general, just I thought weren't as good as, like anything in Season 1. But as soon as that, Firestorm storyline started up in Episode 4, rather, I think that was when the season started to get really, really good. Now, what I would have in those first 3 episodes instead of what we got would definitely be like more rogue stuff, like a lot more Captain Cold stuff. Yes, I know we did get a Captain Cold episode in episode 3, but I still feel like that could have been a much better episode or storyline rather if he were to appear for like all 3 of these first 3 episodes of season 2. So I feel like a more good rogue storyline would have definitely been what I would have at least put for the first 3 episodes of season 2. But then going into the rest of the season, Zoom is such a good villain, especially in episode 6 of season 2. That is, in my opinion, a top 5 episode of The Flash ever. That episode was amazing. Zoom seemed like such a threatening speedster villain in this episode. Of course, there in this season as well, you had the crossover, which was dealt with Vandal Savage, which he's not a very good villain. So that crossover, I'm just gonna leave that out of this because it's a crossover. It's not exactly what the Flash season 2 is going to be like. So yeah, I just would leave that out for now. And then the Reverse Flash Returns episode. That episode I think was done very, very well. I liked all the Reverse Flash origin stuff that we got in this episode. I like that Matt Letcher played Reverse Flash. I think that was awesome. He really needs to come back and play the Reverse Flash. But yeah, there's really not much else wrong with this season. I mean, you had a couple of mediocre to not very good, like weekly villains that appeared. So I switched those villains out for like more original villains or DC villains from the comics, like Captain Cold and all those other villains. Captain Cold really should have appeared more as a villain. I really hate that he basically stopped being a villain after season 1. So I think more of that would have been great to see in those certain episodes where we didn't have that good of a villain. But other than that, Zoom is such a great character. That one episode where Barry time travels back to when he saw the season 1 version of Reverse Flash, that was great. And yeah, Zoom is a great villain. The finale and leading up to the finale I thought was just amazing. So those were the changes that I would make about season 2. But now you have season 3, and this is where you can start making a lot of changes. So first of all, Flashpoint. Flashpoint was not very good. I think Flashpoint definitely should have lasted all the way up until the crossover. So the first 7 episodes of season 3 should have been Flashpoint, in my personal opinion. Maybe you could do the first 6, just to get that Killer Frost stuff started, to get the Wally West speedster arc started. I think that could work. So maybe the first 6 episodes of season 3 would be the Flashpoint storyline. But I think Flashpoint should have gone. I think they should just completely have just thought it differently. I think the Rival could still appear. I think he was a pretty cool villain to see, but the Reverse Flash definitely should have had a much bigger role. I think he should have been free in Flashpoint instead of being locked up. He should have been free just like the comics and that animated film Flashpoint. That would have been so cool to see. Now I know obviously in the comics you had Wonder Woman versus Aquaman in a huge war in Flashpoint. However, it's very unlikely they're going to be able to get Wonder Woman and an Aquaman for the Arrowverse. That really just isn't likely whatsoever. Just like not having a Thomas Wayne as Batman, that's very unlikely as well. So I think maybe if they did something like a speedster war in Flashpoint, I think that could have definitely worked, and that would have been really, really cool to see. Now, because it's Flashpoint, I think they could have introduced some speedsters, and then we would, never see them again unless it was, a flashback or something like that. They could have introduced Johnny Quick, because obviously they did introduce Jesse Quick in this season. If you guys don't know, in the comics, Johnny Quick is Jesse Quick's father. So I think if they introduced Johnny Quick in Flashpoint, that would have been pretty cool to see. And then, Max Mercury maybe. Maybe they could even bring back Zoom for just the Flashpoint storyline. I think that would have been pretty cool to see. Just all these different speedsters in a battle. I think that would have been really cool. Basically, what I really wanted to happen was them to make Flashpoint as comic book accurate as possible. Obviously, they can't bring back all these characters or introduce these characters like Wonder Woman, Aquaman, as I said before. So I think just making it as much like the comic as they could would have been really cool. But yeah, then after all that, in episode 6 or 7, Barry would go back and let things play out. His mother would die and things would almost go back to normal, but not quite. So yeah, that obviously means episodes 1 through 6 would be completely different. All these villains in episodes 1 through 6, I really did not like them very much. So I think they could just be gone from the show. Those villains in episodes 1 through 6 of season 3, they can just be gone. Now we get into the Killer Frost and Savitar stuff starting up. I really like episode 9. I think episode 9 can basically just stay where it is. Episode 9 is a very good episode. And then, you have the rest of the season where you have that the gorilla storyline that was great. The introduction of Jesse Quick and Wally West becoming Kid Flash, all that I think is just great. H.R. Wells, he's a decent character. I think he's a little bit overrated, but I still think his role can stay on the show as it was. But Iris is really annoying in this season. Obviously her finding out that she's gonna die, I think that storyline could definitely stay, because that's what Savitar needed in order to become Savitar. So I think that storyline could stay, but still I think Iris is a little bit annoying in this season. But Savitar, I think his master plan is still pretty good. And I like how they went about Barry being a younger version of Savitar. I like how they went about that storyline. I think that storyline still did work. But yeah, guys, that right there is about all I would change for season 3 of The Flash. But anyways, I'd say that's about it, guys. Thanks for watching. Make sure to comment your thoughts on this video down below, as well as your thoughts on what you guys would change. Comment what you guys would personally have different about the show, and comment anything you guys think I missed. And I'll be sure to, start some conversations with you guys in the comments. Make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.